Hello, I am Hennie van Deventer. I am a retired pastor of the Dutch Reformed Church. I'm living here in Wellington next to the church. Although I'm not pastor of this church, I am just a member of this church. But I'm involved in the witness ministry of this church. This Wellington in the Western Cape, of course. We're involved in the early childhood development program here in our town, in our communities. Well, when we are thinking of the role of the church and the church leaders in supporting early childhood development programs, I think the first step is for the church to acquire a vision about the importance of early childhood development. About 10 years ago, the Dutch Reformed Church of the Western Cape, the Synod of the Western Cape, was meeting, and they tabled a report about the problems faced by poverty-stricken communities. And in this report, they clearly stated that if you want to address the problem of poverty, you don't start, by addressing the problem as such of poverty, but you start at the bottom by early childhood development. And I think our witness ministry in this congregation bought into that vision. And we became convinced that it is, that God is really calling us to get involved in early childhood development. Because we believe that God is using the church to change societies, to change the whole community. And for that, you need to start with the children, even before they go to school. But now, in order we bought into that vision, but then we had to sell it to the congregation, and we had to start implementing it, and that was not so easy. As we were looking for opportunities, we became aware, or we came across SmartStart and Embrace and Nali Bali. Those programs, and we managed to get a few volunteers involved in some of these programs, but it was just touch and go. It was here and there. But eventually, Erika Smith stuck around in this area, and she really committed herself to this ministry. And I think that made all the difference, because she started with identifying people and started getting some smart start groups going. And at the moment, over the years, we have had many groups going in the communities around Wellington. At the moment, I think we have 10 centers in Bekweni, which is very good. And I think that is probably the way the church should play a role. First of all, to get the vision of the importance of this ministry, but then also to get someone to drive the ministry. I think that is the best way, really, to handle it. Yeah, I think from our experience, we can say that the way to strengthen the early childhood development centers in the communities around would first of all be to train the smart starters. Well, to identify and to train them, and I think in that regard, Erika Smith has really done a wonderful job. She's been involved in the training, not only in our church, in our community around here, but even in other communities in the Western Cape. But she's also involved other people in the training. She used people with expertise in teaching. She's been there's an occupational therapist in Worcester that has been involved. Even an optometrist in our town has helped at certain places. That's the first thing in order to strengthen the system. The second thing I would like to mention is ongoing support. I've been told about a church in Kuils River South, Dutch Reformed Church, where they have embarked on a system or a support system where they involve volunteers on an ongoing system of mentorship, where they, the mentors walk all the way with the Smart Starters. And I think that is an excellent example that can be followed by other communities and other churches in any case. A third way that I would like to mention is involving people in volunteer work. I think in the first place it is necessary for churches to go out and visit sites, to see what is happening, to meet the children. That really gets people involved. But also, some of our people have volunteered to go and help with the reading classes and so on. I think that's also good. And then we have a ladies group here that meets every Wednesday. They have been, involved in knitting, clothes or knitting little hats and toys and things for the children. Which is also a wonderful way to get them involved. A fourth thing, I think, is let me just sorry, I will just cut on that one. What was that fourth thing? I should look at the notes quickly. Oh yes.
Okay, so start from. And the fourth thing?
The fourth thing is I think, feedback and prayer in the congregation, and then also donations. We have a system here in our church where we have a regular feedback also from Erika. She would get 2 or 3 times a year, she would get a chance to tell the congregation about the work. And then we would, in the service, pray for the work, which I think is a very, very good way of involving the church. But then when there was a need in some of the centers, she would also challenge the church to come with, to donate things that are necessary. And I think the response was always good. They would give toys, they would give other equipment, they would give... also support for outreaches or for workshops, even for outings for the Smart Starters. Some of the Smart Starters here like to go to the Blisters for Bread walk in Cape Town, so they have given support to that. And then lastly, I think, not lastly, but the first thing would be the facilities. I think in our case, Erika has been using our church facilities, our premises here to train the Smart Starters, and also for other activities. I think that is a help. Other churches also, I know, do that. The Acre and Kuils River South, and then in Citrusdal, I think there's a church that has allowed, their premises to be used. A container was placed there, and little school is on the church premises. I think the best way would be also for the churches in the communities to allow groups or centers to be formed in their church facilities, because that is where the children are, and that would be most helpful. And I think there are a few that are doing that. So I think that would be a very good way for churches to really support the system of early childhood development. Yeah, I think, what really inspires me about this program is, the upliftment in the first place of the women who are offering the SmartStart program. I think according to all reports that we have been receiving, they are really developing themselves. They are really standing up. They are becoming confident, and they are making a real difference in their communities. I think that is a really wonderful thing. It's a wonderful service they render to the communities. Secondly, obviously, the effect on the children. I mean, here you are giving children who wouldn't have had this opportunity, who wouldn't have had the chance in life, perhaps, to really get a chance to stand up and to be developed in a wonderful way. I mean, a way that will influence their future in a deep and fundamental way. And I think this is really the way in which communities can change, in which the whole community can be uplifted if you start with the children at this stage, at this early age. Yeah, I've one of the caregivers or the Smart Starters in Bekweni shared a story with us about a boy that had not started speaking even at the age of 3. He was already 3 years old and he had not yet started speaking. So his mother was a single parent, and she was worried, and she somehow felt that she was failing as a mom. But then she made contact with a SmartStart center, and she brought the child there, at the center, one of the teachers decided to really surround this child with love and special attention and prayer. And they had they usually prayed for the children, or they still praying for the children, for each child. But in this case, they really focused on this child and gave attention to the child. And then at one of the sessions, the child, the story session, the child suddenly, whispered something about animals, and that was absolutely a breakthrough moment for the teacher, and she just cheered that on. So there the child started changing, little by little started participating in the singing, and also, at the end of the day would say goodbye and so on. And the mother was also drawn in, and she was invited to workshops where she was helped to know how to stimulate her child in playing and praying and so on. And the mother really testified that it really changed not only the child's life, but also it was healing their hearts. And it was a wonderful testimony to hear that. And I think it is really a case of, faith and early childhood development combining to make a big difference to not only to a child, but also to the whole family. It was a single parent, and she was really helped, and it changed a lot in the whole family. To create a safe and nurturing environment inside the center and outside the centers, I think the real factor is obviously the caregivers, the smart starters. They are the people who create the atmosphere, the safe and nurturing atmosphere where the children can grow and where they can change. The way they handle the children with love and with care and with attention, I think that is what is making the difference. So I think that is really important. The caregivers, they are at the same time, well, that is inside the school and inside the center, but they are also the link. The caregivers, the smart starters, are the link with the community somehow also. And if they are well supported by the church, I think they, that gives them, a way to make a difference in the whole community also, and to create a safe space. Because with their contact with the community, they create that space. But then, because they are such an important factor, I think it is very important to invest in their training. Not only, in developing their skills, but in also building their faith and their character. So I think that is really important way to create a safe space. You have to put a lot of attention into the smart starters and develop them. And I think that is where what I mentioned about the mentoring, the mentorship, where that also comes in. I think that is a really essential thing, where you can support them, when you can have mentors that are really helping them on an ongoing basis, helping them to deal with problems and helping them to develop. Another issue, of course, for a safe and nurturing environment is obviously the facilities. And I think we realize that most of the smart starters are doing it on their own premises, perhaps in their own houses, and they really somehow need help with that. I think they probably need equipment, they need other things to make it a safe space. In our case, I think we can, as churches, we can help. Well, if we have facilities that we can offer to them in the communities, that would help also to make a safe and nurturing environment. If they are in their own places, we can help to improve those spaces. I think that would be a way. I remember in our case, our congregation at a certain stage, we helped to paint one of the centers, the containers that they were using. We were painting that, and that is also beautifying the place and making it a better environment for nurturing the children. But facilities is an important factor in creating that space. Yeah, I'm really convinced that early childhood development is a wonderful tool in God's hands to change communities. I mean, as we said in the beginning, um, yeah, I mean, many of the problems that are faced by poverty-stricken communities uh, cannot be handled when the people are already there, when they have grown up, when, it's very difficult to change people then. But if you start with the children, where they are really open and ready to to be helped and to be changed, I think that is the way to go in order to listen to God's calling, because God is really calling us to make a difference in our communities, and I believe this is really a way. And I mean, the way we can do it is really by supporting them, supporting especially also the smart starters, the caregivers, training them, helping them. And I mean, that is something in which every church can get involved. Obviously, as we said, you will need a person to drive that. That is, if you just talk about it and just say, well, it is important, it might not make such a difference. But if you have a person, invested in that, a person committed to that, who can really drive the vision, I think that would be the way to go and get involved in this ministry.
Because
My son-in-law who's a farmer in the Karoo. And are you recording now? But should I?
You can speak to Mariki or...
No, but I mean, I was just I thought I would first say something without. Yeah. Anyway. If you ask me about the role of fathers and men in this ministry, I would perhaps talk from personal experience and say, I've got 3 sons and one daughter. I've got 14 grandchildren as well. But my son-in-law is involved in a program called The World Needs a Father. And I really think, fathers are really, really important, and men are really important. It is wonderful that the women are doing a marvelous job in helping children and in training children and in developing children. And in this ministry, I think it is mostly, the women who are doing the work. But I honestly think, the world needs a father. Fatherhood is absolutely important, and I'm glad to say that my own sons are doing their share in nurturing the children. And my son-in-law as well. I mean, they are really playing a significant role in the lives of their children, in nurturing them. And I mean, things are changing. I mean, men are really important, and I mean, I think we realize that more and more. So I believe that although men are not so much involved in this program yet, I think they could make a big difference if the fathers, if the men would also get more hands-on and involved in this. I think it would make a difference to the whole program, a big difference. Faith communities can strengthen the support system of early childhood centers by a few ways. I mean, I would almost put it in five different ways. The first is by training the smart starters. Well, identifying them, recruiting them, and training them. I think that is essential. Secondly, I think it is important to give them ongoing support. One of the churches has a mentoring system where they have volunteers, church volunteers that are mentoring the people on an ongoing basis. Thirdly, I think it is important that we get volunteers involved in particular programs to go out and experience what it is, what is being done, and to help reading or knitting something and giving to people. Fourthly, I think it is necessary to have feedback, from the centers to the churches, and so that the churches can keep the vision alive, so that they can pray for the people, for the smart starters, so that they can, if there's a need, they can also be challenged to make donations for particular needs. And I mean, they are doing that, and that is wonderful. But fifthly, I think it is important that churches help with facilities. Smart starters use their own facilities sometimes, and I think churches can help. For training purposes, many churches are, or several churches are helping with that, and I think it is excellent. It is important that they help that, but they can also, if the churches in the communities can make their facilities available to smart starters, that would be a smart move.